That's the thing what they're waiting for. Can you just take the first show off, please? Can we redo the first show? Can we please do the first show?
Overdub it?
Overdub it, yeah, please, please. My voice is crackling. Hello there, this is Hadi. Welcome to the Community Radio Show. It's like I'm still going through puberty, man. It's like,
oh, man.
Dude, that first show was insane because we had Josh here, and then Flynn was in the other room.
Yeah.
And then, he was in there monitoring some stuff. Something else went wrong, and we're just still like, calls coming in.
Yeah, because then we got slammed with calls like at the end of the show or something. I don't know. But yeah,
you're like, oh, this is great. I'm like, listen.
That's like the only bad thing. Some people wait till the very last minute. Yeah. Like everybody waits till the very last minute, and you can't get too old of them.
I've done that with Jack a couple of times. Like I literally, one time he picked up with like 30 seconds left. I was like, wow, isn't this courteous? But, alright. So you want to roll in there for the after show or?
I mean, I ain't gonna say, man. I'm all politicked out.
Yeah, we're not gonna move today.
You can see by the way I'm dressed.
Yeah, you do look bummy right now. You look beyond bummy.
Oh man.
The camera doesn't even catch it.
Just fumes are just coming at me, just, you know.
Well, I hear you, man. I mean, I'm definitely ready for this election season to be over. Get into some other things. I want to talk about Hijra House and Muslim chaplain services of Virginia, whatever it is. You know, talk about our impact.
That's another area of quote unquote concern.
Yeah.
Is the radicalization of
Muslims in prison. We're gonna get to that.
That's right.
And then we gotta have the woman show. So just in case our funding does totally die, and we can't continue on.
I'll be one if you guys need anything.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks, man.
You know, I definitely still wanted to have, you know, have those episodes. You know, because I mean, we're still always gonna have that. You know, that you know, those shows there that we can still promote and try to get things re-jumped again. If you know, I might have to take a hiatus. We might need to get a second set of people in to alternate.
Alternate what?
Us. Like, you know. So I can have my Saturday morning. I hate waking up Saturdays, man.
Listen, man, I can run the show by myself.
Oh, here we go.
That was the idea. The idea was.
I just had to train you and get you.
No,
past the stage fright.
You wanted to do a segment, and I'm like, yeah, you know, you're underperforming in your potential.
Oh,
let me provide you an opportunity to shine.
Here we go.
But seriously, because a lot of the things that I couldn't bring up if you weren't here.
Why?
Because
Because I'm black.
Yeah, because you're black. Seriously.
Man, I would talk about white people all day long. No, I wouldn't actually. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's certain things you just would have had to tailor your callers a little more. You know, based on like Ibrahim. I mean, he was a perfect example. Like, I mean, he was all up in the civil rights and slavery movement and, you know, everything.
You pull that name out. I'm like, have you heard of blah, 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 blah? I'm like,
who the hell is that? That's like you saw both our friends like what? No. No.
And then, because if I answered yes, he'd be like, so what did you think was the most interesting thing about his study?
You don't want to put yourself in that position. No.
Was that Pavlov's dog? Or was that Sigmund Freud? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. But I mean, he has some good points, but it's still. I mean, I didn't get my comment in because he was saying, you know, having that American Islam, you know.
We can do a show that's on that. But the point he's making is this: I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. For years in the early '80s, well, the two biggest hindrances that I think put the Muslim community back. The immigrant Muslim community back, I would say, was how slow they were. I think it's just all shaking, man.
Really?
How are you gonna make it all steady?
I'm gonna sit it down and it's gonna stop shaking.
Okay. That's just terrible.
You know what, man? Just say what you're saying.
Man, we need to have a professional quality
Tripod. Well, this is what we need money for, so we can buy these things.
I got a good tripod.
No, I got another tripod. You know,
Sit back. I think this is better. There's not much lights over here. It doesn't shine off my bulb.
You know, I actually changed the video settings of this thing anyway. So
what I'm saying is, historically, if you look at the two areas that African American Muslims didn't have an issue with,
right,
or were further along. Historically, I'm going to say historically, since the 80s, mid-70s onward, there would be the issue of voting and the issue of purchasing homes.
Yeah.
Okay? They didn't have, I mean, they understood, and I think part of that has to do with kind of the Americanization of Islam, their understanding of Islam through the prism of America that they understood. So number one, if you don't vote, right, they knew as a community the sacrifices that people made in order to give them the right to vote. You know, not something, but you know, to remove laws that prevented them from voting on what was already their right to do so, as well as if you don't own homes, you don't own a stake in the community. Those two things. And if you look at the immigrant community that came here, there was a lot of debate about that in the mid-'80s into the 90s about home ownership and voting, and they were looking to people in their home countries or religious scholars outside of the country to provide them with a religious justification. So let's take a country, I mean, none of those countries have free elections. None of them, at all. They're either monarchies, they're dictatorships, or they're just, you know, a family runs it like it's their own, personal, piggy bank. So how can a scholar who lives in that condition be able to tell you what Islam says about voting and how you're supposed to exercise that when they don't even understand that concept? You see? Well, take it out to the notion of, is it permissible? I have to come up with something just very, very ridiculous. Try to explain water to someone who's never seen water, right? And doesn't understand what water is used for, and you need it to survive, to bathe, for crops, for food, for everything. And I kind of that key that water holds to sustainability of a community, right? So someone who has no notion of what water is, how can you look to for their expertise to tell you how to use water? How do you look at someone's expertise to explain to you how do you use something, and that something is they don't know what it is. That's I think what he's talking about.
Well, but that's still debatable from the standpoint of, okay, if you have somebody that does understand, let's say water, okay, and they can say, okay, we've used water in A, B, and C. It's given us benefit in E, F, G, but it's been misused in
this and this and
QRS.
This. Right.
And what we want to move towards is point 1, 2, and 3. Then somebody that would have the Islamic knowledge and Islamic understanding of how to apply certain principles in a way that it would be the most beneficial could still make some valid points, in terms of maybe the next course of action that you should do or move or use without necessarily having that specific hands-on.
Right, but the thing that's happened is that what he's talking about is not that far removed from how Islam developed. Because if you look at the different rulings that exist, there are different rulings of what's not permissible as far as, alcohol is acceptable in one region and not. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the different practices, right? How prayer is done, and the different interpretive things like that. In North Africa, right, it's completely different than in Iraq, right? Because there, or someone in Egypt, right? How Islam came about through Egypt is different than how it came through let's say, sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
Because of the conditions of the people that were living in. And these conditions could be, obviously, their environmental, social conditions, cultural conditions, all of these things that kind of go into this blender. And then that's the prism through which you view Islam. That's the beauty of Islam, is that it has these inherent core values that cannot change. Right? The oneness of God is not in dispute. The finality of the prophet of Muhammad is not in dispute. Ramadan, prayer and all that kind of stuff. For example, perfect example would be in Ramadan. If you go into where we fast, 30, daylight to sunlight, sun up to sundown. If you go to the extreme northern hemisphere, Alaska, the Netherlands, way up there, right? They have 20 hours of daylight sometimes, 22 hours of daylight. So if you're a literalist, then hey, too bad for you, because you're fasting,
Don't live there.
This is the beauty of Islam, and this is the practicality that exists. The scholar said, listen, that's the condition that you live in, and however, what you can do is you can take the country that's most closest to you that has normal sunrise and sunset, right? So if you go from, you live way up north and you kind of come down, and let's say England is the closest thing, then you can do that.
But now let me ask you this though. Now is that an actual ruling? That's permissible because of those extreme conditions. Because you also have the flip side. There's some parts of the world where it's 22 hours of night. So what? You're gonna only fast for 1 hour? No, it's a practical. Hey, I would say, look, if at some points I gotta fast for 20 hours. Now I gotta fast for 2. It's a
6 months, or even the wisdom behind having a lunar calendar is that Ramadan doesn't get stuck in one part of the year in which it's either the summer for some and winter for the other, and basically the people in the summer are getting hosed because they're praying 18 hours, and so there is this
fasting for 18 hours.
There is this flexibility within Islam, and I think that's what you see when you see someone that's in Indonesia practices Islam differently than someone that's in North Africa, and they're both perfectly valid paths that the scholars came to, and I think that's what's missing in America, and some of those things that are needed. You see, because for example, the issue of prayer, right? You have a window, with the exception of, generally speaking, for the noon prayer, you have a window of when you can perform the noon prayer. As soon as the sun passes the meridian, until basically roughly till about the time where your shadow becomes twice the length of itself, right? Mid-afternoon, right? Now, in Muslim countries, or the countries in the Middle East, right? As soon as the sun passes the meridian, 10 minutes after that, you can go pray, because everything is around that. In certain countries, they close businesses, and they go pray and stuff like that. So, if you come here and you notice that, wait a minute, it's time to pray, I got to drop everything. Well, no, you don't, because you have that window. But if you're not aware of that, then Islam would seem rigid, because it says that as soon as the sun passes the meridian, you gotta pray.
You're not done in 7 minutes.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. I called one time to the talk show, and it's because this guy, and they were talking about these people that were saying that I need to pray at this exact same time, and they were in a job where they couldn't leave. Oh, they were on the production line. And they couldn't leave.
Gee, that's not happening.
And so I called and I said, listen, this is completely goes against the spirit of the purpose of prayer and this and stuff like that. All right, they are perfectly permissible for them to pray because of a window. He goes, right. He goes, oh, okay, I understand. So he's like, so if you're a train conductor in New York City on the metro, right, and your train is hauling along, And, you know, time comes for prayer. Exactly. You pull the brakes, and, you know, you got 1,000 people on the train, and they're waiting while, you know.
You're in the cockpit. You're making awesome.
Sorry. Yeah, he's like, come on, people. He's like, you know, seriously. And unfortunately, this flexibility has been lost, I would say. And I think the resurgence of it has come in a country, in America. And now, granted that, obviously, we're not talking about extremes here. That people that advocate, well, you're in a non-Muslim country, and you know, there's no need to pray, there's no need to fast because you're going to be weird and all that kind of stuff.
I've never heard that one before.
I'm not talking about. We're talking about within, you know. We're not talking about outliers. We're talking about the norm. You know,
you have to pray. That's one of the pillars.
Yeah, the norms. We're talking about norms here, not extremes. There's always extremes on, you know,
both ends.
We're talking about norms. So I think that's what he's talking about, is this notion of having an Americanized.
But I think that the big part of that is we have to have legitimate scholars that will do that. Now, unfortunately, you know, of course, we talk to a lot of people. You know, what you're going to hear as well, it's the signs of the times. You know, scholars are becoming few, the ignorant are becoming many. You know, that's, you know, what I hear a lot. And I mean, to a certain degree, I mean, you know, got to kind of believe that. Because overall, I mean, the world is becoming a very crazy place. But aside from that, that doesn't mean that you just give up all hope and, you know, just go all willy-nilly. So, you know, education-wise, you know, we still have to get these learned scholars that are, you know, moderate, you know, and medium, and understand how to apply things in I guess, an American environment, you know. I mean, because, I mean, you know, the United States is definitely a very unique place compared to the rest of the world.
Even compared to Europe.
Hands down.
Even compared to Europe, yeah.
I mean,
Western Europe.
Down.
This is a complete...
We're in a different world. There's a reason why we have water on both sides of us. We're isolated.
No, but even not necessarily that, but I think realistically speaking, as far as, you know, the laws and the freedom to practice your faith and this and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I grew up when my parents were always telling me that this is the only quote unquote Islamic country in the world, because you know, the opportunities that you have, the system of laws. Now that's not to say that there aren't you know, there weren't violations to that or this and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But as far as the foundations that the country was built on, or just, you know, that you know, theoretical side in its application. But I mean, you talk to like a scholar that's living in China, Muslims in China. That's a completely different experience. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of issues over there. Like, they should be flocking here.
Yes,
you know, because they're really suppressed, not just oppressed. They're suppressed,
and it's just talk about it's just restrictions on what they can do and they can't do and all that kind of stuff.
Because you know, in China, that's the what's the name?
Communist?
Yeah, but it's like a what's that thing? Maybe that was Korea. Because basically the leaders are like the religious, spiritual. Actually, no, that was in North Korea.
Yeah, no, in China, the imam, the leader of the mosque, is assigned by the government.
Oh,
right. And you have to understand, the entire country is not. It's different than in the Middle East in that they have the same thing. However, in the Middle East, they, you know, practicing your religion openly outside and all that kind of stuff is thing. But here, what you have is first of all, you have their particular minority sect in China, in the western province, around Tibet, I believe, in the area. And there's a lot of restrictions on what it is they can and cannot do. They can't openly have speakers. Yeah, basically, like the Tibetan monks. They can't openly have speakers for the prayer, the call to prayer, and things like that. And so their Islamic experience is completely different than, you know, anywhere else, I would say, in the world. But I would, back to your thing about the world's gotten crazier, I don't think it has. I think it's actually progressed and it's gotten more civil. I mean, we went from a time where you were basically chopping people's head off and putting it on stakes. And I mean, yes, that's some of that happens now, but we've moved towards more progress and more human dignity in that. For example, that, you know, outlawing of slavery, of, you know, those types of things that we collectively kind of.
But at the same time, you know, people back then might be like, wow, you have these big metal things that can be dropped and level, you know, 4 square miles and kill everybody at one time within a split second. You know, I mean, you got to look at the ability to devastate life that we've created from that aspect.
Oh, I agree.
I mean,
it takes less effort today.
Yeah, it takes less effort to kill, and there's less understanding, and I think just less understanding of the consequences of who it affects and how it can.
I would disagree with that part of it, but yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. Because now if you level now if you drop a bomb and you level a city,
I mean, this is like collateral damage.
The entire world knows about it. Back then, if the if armies were marching and they're leveling cities, in 6-7 month campaign, people in other parts of the world didn't know about it. Yeah. The
at least not right away.
Yeah, the ability for communication. And things
communication is definitely increased. You know, the world's presence among itself has definitely increased.
Right, but you're right. I think it takes less effort now to create mass mass killings, or
I mean, people might even say that at least when we went to war, we knew that we were putting ourselves at risk. Now we can send in drones, absolutely no harm to human life, but you know that you're going to kill somebody. I mean, it's almost kind of like, well, you're not even fair in war, and granted, nothing is fair in love and war, but it's like that's not even it almost goes against the purpose of why are we at war.
But we're progressing.
To a degree. Well, I mean, we are like that's not debatable. We are progressing.
Everything progresses.
But you also create more problems. Also,
everything progresses. The good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
All of that progresses as humans progress from.
So it's kind of like 1 divided by 1 versus 30 divided by 30. It's still 1. What?
I didn't get that, but that's fine. I mean,
no, it's kind of like, I mean, like if you say 2 divided by 2 is 1, or 30 divided by 30 is 1. We just have more things that are canceling itself out. More good, more bad, more ugly, and we're still just.
Thank God for anesthesia, because I did not want to.
Oh yeah, that wasn't. You wasn't sawing off part of me with no rusty blade.
Hey, no,
talking about something by the pillow.
Thank God for lights and showers and
Even though you still
air
have to understand, but that's still a blessing that are in developed countries. You go to third world countries, man, they still got to deal with that. I think people forget that. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just go all the way across the world and just everybody is in the same status as you. Yeah,
I was secretly hoping for power outage on Monday and Tuesday.
Well, storm?
Yeah, for my kids to tell them, because they're just bored out of their minds, and I'm like, listen.
Nah,
I said this is unusual.
That one is cold.
No, yeah.
That one is cold. I can deal with the heat. That one's cold.
I was like, you have to listen. You have to understand. I really don't think that people that live here understand all of the blessings that.
Try living by candlelight for a month.
Well, my kids can do it. The last power outage we had, because someone rammed into the power generation station. It was for about 4 hours, and we had candlelight, and then finally they were drawing and this and all that kind of stuff.
That's 4 hours. Like I said, try for a month. Go outside, hit your main switch on your breaker, and just shut everything down.
I threatened that one time.
And then tell them our power is out. We don't know when it's gonna come back.
And they're like, no computer, no. No TV? Your
daughter would go psycho after 2 days. I'm telling you, you do not. Oh, sorry. I appreciate my power. Okay, no sir.
There is that. I think that particularly people that are not immigrants.
There's a disconnect.
They don't understand the blessing that exists here.
Oh yeah, my mom came back. Oh, she has some stories.
I
actually got some recorded on my phone. I'm gonna see. Just when we were coming back,
I forgot to ask about your mom about that.
You talking about that culture shock. It was crazy.
She got dropped in the deepest end of the pool,
but,
in the coldest water.
She was like, I don't think she was, because she's from New York. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she had a an interesting time growing up. So I mean, there's something that she had to deal with. But she was like, man, there was this one sister that I was with her. It was just like, could you go to the bathroom with me? She was like, she would almost have a panic attack every time she had to go to the restroom, just because it's so different. You know what I'm saying? It's not as clean. It's not as, you know, showers aren't set up the same way. Toilets aren't the same way. You know, and she was just like,
squat.
oh my God, I don't want to do it. Is anything on me? I was like, wow.
Yes,
But she did kirk out about the traffic. Because she was like, there are no lines. There are no lights. There's like 7 cars bunched up going super fast here. You got motorcycles cutting in and out. You got bicycles. You got all of the stuff.
And then they got people that are trying to cross the street.
She was like, I almost got killed trying to go across the street. You know? And she was, and then somebody said, somebody was like, well,
they don't stop for you. They honk.
yeah,
and that's
exactly.
just the warning
That's
light.
just that I'm coming. I'm coming. You better not be where I'm at when I get there.
You're like, hurry up, because I'm about to roll over you.
But but she was, another sister was like, well, this is why, women can't drive in Saudi. She was like, no, this isn't why women can't drive. Nobody should be driving here. Okay?
No, literally,
like, wow,
literally, there are 4 lanes of traffic that are marked, and there are 7 lines of cars. All right.
Wow,
The
that's crazy.
right-hand emergency lane is the left-hand turn lane. Yeah, so I'm sitting in the... Yes, I kid you not. I kid...
Why? Why? Are you serious? The right hand... Wait. You said the right-hand emergency lane is the left-hand turn lane.
Yes.
So you have to cut across another, 6, 7 lanes of traffic?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm sitting at the left light. Or South American, because the light says left arrow, you follow the rules, right? I'm sitting there, and then I'm the first one to go left. And then I'm like... What is this? So there's 4 lanes of traffic. I'm like, what is this Mercedes that's $125,000 doing just creeping out? I was like, is it a drive-by? I'm like, wait, no, it's not a drive-by. What is he doing? And then right before the light switches to green, 2 seconds before that, you hear, I'm like, are you kidding me? Or seriously? Because they just won't wait.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why someone advised me. He said, "Don't ever go when you're at the light and you're going through it. Don't ever go through it full speed because you got people turning from the right-hand lane across left-hand traffic."
That's nuts.
I was like,
insane.
if I lived there, I'd go get the most wrecked car.
Man,
and I'm just like, bam.
I'm driving a trash truck. Which is actually funny though. She was like this. She was like the sanitation here and the cleanup. She was like, this trash truck came and picked up all of this trash. It drove off, dropped half of it back on the road, and kept going.
Yes.
I was like, what is the point?
Yes.
What that shit said.
I was going to the.
I would drop a bulldozer.
I was walking up the mountain to go to. It's called the Mountain of Light. This is where the prophet would go to meditate. So I was going up the mountain to do that, and so I finished. It was during Ramadan, so I knew when I would get up there, I would only have a few more hours before the sun come up, so I would be thirsty the rest of the day. So I was just chugging water as this guy took me there, and then so I went and got some more water, and I had 2 empty bottles of water, right? And so I asked him. I said, "Do you have?" Because I'm in the store now. I said, "Do you have a trash can for me to throw this?" And the dude literally points like,
terrible.
And I'm like, seriously,
Wow.
like you just want me to just chuck it? And it was like, yeah.
Shame.
My
I'm gonna
6-year-old
need
son
them to hold up on building all those nice, elaborate buildings and get your general city together. Okay, get your country together, man. Because that's just you can't have like these super nice, multi-million-dollar looking establishments. You go out
marble floors.
Yeah, with marble floors, and you go out. However far you
Imagine if you walked into the Ritz-Carlton hotel, right? And you know how when places, if you go to a restaurant or bar that allows smoking, or how it has that lingering smell, and it's like that thick smell, right? So imagine going to the Ritz-Carlton and that nasty smoke-filled thing sitting there. That's what the malls are like over there. They got marble floors and they got Gucci and they got just dudes outside,
Wow.
smoking. I saw in front of the no smoking sign, Dude is puffing away. And here's the killer. Here's just one of the security guards for the airport. I was like,
terrible.
No.
That kind of drive, because you know what? I see that in hospitals here. Like St. Mary's is notorious for it. Right outside of the ER, because you know all hospital campuses are smoke free now. Like they're saying the employees across the road. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can be far depending on what hospital you're in. And sometimes I'll come out and it's like right in front of the ER, you have just some random person that's just smoking away, and it's like there one sign, you know, it's like signs everywhere. Like, why can't you respect that? I mean, you got people that's coming in on respirators that have to go past somebody smoking into the ER, but they already half dead. Okay, it's like, come on, you know, could you respect the signs, please? But yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, we gotta get your mom on and talk about her experience.
Yeah, we can maybe do that. I told her I wanted to do that. I know she still recovered. She had to call out of work yesterday because he was supposed to have work because he was supposed to have been back Monday. You know what I'm saying? But the flights got held up because he was in Turkey for a while. But she got some, you know, nice pictures of being in Turkey.
Turkey must have been totally different than.
Yeah. She was like, Turkey was okay. Saudi was, you know, it had this really good and it was like really bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was real toss up. But yeah,
she went from Turkey to New York.
Yeah, JFK. She went to the JFK, and then.
Did she drive down to Richmond?
No. She flew, but she had to wait overnight. You know, in JFK, and because there was so many people there, you know, because all the flights got backed up, like they just had to sleep on the floor. Like they couldn't couldn't put anybody.
It's all right. I mean,
yeah. I mean, but it's been like that for the last, like she was like she hadn't slept for the last like 48 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Because you know she's not the type who's gonna go sleep on the floor. Like she's like, I'll just stay up.
That's like my mom. My mom was like that. She got held over in Dallas a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did you sleep? She goes, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "I'm not sleeping." I'm like, "Come on."
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so she flew back into Richmond, man. It was real good. She looked good. You know.
I saw that photo you put out.
Yeah,
at the airport with the flowers, and she came back.
Yeah, I brought flowers. Yeah.
She didn't get sick, did she?
No, she was like everybody else, you know what I'm saying, in the group had the cough. I guess the cough that I had for months. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody had the cough. But,
you know, it's so fascinating because you see, it's interesting to get her take on this, but you'll see pockets of people from certain parts of the world, and they have distinct characteristics. Right. Like the people from Malaysia and Indonesia, they're short, they're tiny, and they're just like, you know.
Oh man, you destroying
they look like they just, you know.
Yeah, she was like the Africans. She was like, don't mess with the Africans.
Oh my! I was about to say that.
She was like, man, they would get in the line and they just be marching. It's like, if you wanted to get somewhere, you just hold on to them.
Africans, you know? You can feel the stamp coming. You're like,
it's crazy.
That's some African. You look back and you're just like, just let me get on behind it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then the dudes from Malaysia and Indonesia, they're all together, and their outfits are like, it's just like they just got them from the dry cleaners, and they just put it on because it was like. You got the creases, you got the, you know.
Nice.
And they're going, and then, you know, all the different people in the world. And then,
my mom was like, man, she just had to get used to being punched and kneed, and like, she was just like, it got crazy, you know. Right, like, so many people.
So the women there, so, you know, they you know, people try to, it's strategic because you try to weave in and out of crowds of people to get up to touch the Kaaba, the cube, and so. People try to, particularly women, also do that too. And so, when the time for the prayer comes, they have to clear people out. So they bring in guards. So like, you know, these are like 20-year-old dudes with just, you know, khakis on them, and go back and this and all that kind of stuff. So fascinating to people watch because I was just kind of hanging out because I knew where the line started. So I said as soon as people sit down, I wanted to be right in that row. So I'm just slowly walking, and I see this woman come, and she's dressed in full, you know, I can't see it. I just know that she's a woman, but she didn't have her face covered, and she's coming, and I'm like, this guard is not going to do that, no way. So I don't think he didn't realize that it was a woman. All he sees are people coming, and he's just trying to push them back. At some point, the guards get belligerent because you got, you know.
Yeah, you got to move them at some point. Yeah, it's time to act. You know.
Dude drops his shoulder. All right.
Oh my
Dude
God.
drops his shoulder. It's like Urlacher taking on a running back.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, drops his shoulder and just bam hits her. All right. She did not move. She took it because I think she saw it coming. Wow. I was like,
did she lead into it?
Yeah, because she had made up her mind that she's coming out and she's going to touch.
Wow.
So he drops, and she was coming just like he you know, like this, because he wasn't looking. He just sees people come, so he's just, you know, pat.
It would be funny.
He just stopped. She just stopped, and then went by him, and I think he realized, like, oh wait, what just?
It'd be funny if she hit a spin move or step on.
Oh, it's just. I mean,
oh man, that's incredible.
It's like. There's like there's the whole spiritual thing, but then there's like
it's kind of like what's going on with the basic etiquette of dealing with people.
Yeah, and then there's the whole dealing with people and this and stuff like that. Like, you know,
she was saying that, you know, there would be some people that would be praying and they would have to, you know, like try to move. There's like a couple people come up and they just pick them up. I was like, what? Could you imagine that? You in sujood and somebody just grabs each limb and just moves you. Like, really? Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome.
It's just because
I'm motivated to go now. Like, I gotta get my money.
I think what happens is that you have people that particularly from Muslim countries or even, you know, all over the world that save their life savings, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for them to perform this obligation. And I think in that excitement or this or things like that, they just kind of
take my Lord.
Yeah, they just I mean, it's not conscious. It's just they don't kind of, you know. They're so it's tunnel vision.
Actually, I don't want to like give all my mom's stories, but she did all of this in like 30 minutes, so I know she got a lot more. But she was saying there was this one sister that she was walking with, and you know, she said it was really hot, and then all of a sudden, you know, so they were all trying to move together, and then all of a sudden she was like, this is just started bugging out. Like, she was just punching people elbow, like, just get out my way. Yeah, she was like, what are you doing? You know, like, she was just going crazy. And then like a little while after, because she was telling, I think one of the guys, she was like, you need to get her out of line, like she's going to go crazy or something. And then later on she was talking to, it was like, it was the heat. She's like, I just lost it for a little while. It was the heat. I was like, oh, wow. So, I mean, not like she was, you know, like a real big sister or anything, but it's just like, you know, you just, I guess, get in the zone and certain things happen sometimes. But yeah,
you have everyone from, you know, which I think is
every
insane,
corner of the
world, but then you don't really have kids. I mean, if they're kids, they're on parents' shoulders. But you have from, let's say, adolescent kids, 13, 14, all the way to people that are in wheelchairs, and some of them have the old school stuff where they're sitting and then you pay people and they're on their shoulders and they're carrying them just because they can't you know, walk and this and all that kind of stuff.
Deal with the violent pushing.
But yeah, man, them African brothers, they're just, you know, man, they're big and they're.
Because I remember when my dad came back.
Well, and you're not moving them.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're just
muscle.
That's
it's like, not to be stereotypical, but it's like they're like marathon.
Like you're a car, they're a train.
Yeah, and it's just like.
That's it.
And it's just
what's
like,
so much you can do with it?
It's just like, you know.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's not like the women are any less docile.
Yeah.
No, they're just like, you know.
Not in the head too. Keep it moving.
And you literally see trains, and so like you have this group of Africans going, and then you see this group of, you know, the South Asians or the Indonesians or the Malaysians that are like right behind them.
It's like, we ain't getting through the other way.
Exactly. We're getting stomped on, so it's just, you know. But
they should create a partnership. Like every African throws a little Asian on their shoulders.
The African-Asian Hajj partnership.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
there you go.
Like, you know,
that's
it's like big brothers, big sisters. I sponsor you. Just hop on my back. I'll just, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it's and so there's like strategies on, like, you know, like the first round you see a little opening and you go in, and the next round you see that. But it the problem becomes is obviously when you have people that you have that many people, it's just something's bound.
Yeah, there's gonna be some chaotic moment, you know, that's just unavoidable, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, man, you know, it's
and during for iftar, the breaking of the fast. They roll down the tarp and everyone gets dates and water. It's fascinating the system that they set up to feed this many people for Ramadan, and they clean it up too. They got workers come. They got squeegee.
That's what all the cleanup crews are.
They're clean, and so the rope. Literally, they'll come and there'll be a rope, and seriously, they'll rope off an area that at 2 seconds before had 500 people sitting in it, and they rope it off, and they just throw the water, and they got socks on because they can slide. So they're running and they slide with the squeegee and they put it in this corner, and they just go block by block by block, and it's fascinating to be
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it is, and then particularly for Ramadan, people actually bring in dates and what like let's say your family will sponsor a section, and they'll pass out the dates, the water, the food for that particular. It's like completely self. And we're not talking about like 20 to 30 people. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people, particularly towards the last 10 days of Ramadan, that people come, and it's just totally fascinating to see the kind of the order in all that chaos of people moving.
That's crazy.
Moving around.
I gotta go. I gotta get over there some kind of way.
Oh, I thought you were like leaving now.
No. I mean, we do got. I mean, we're rolling. I mean, we've been here for a while.
I gotta take my son wants to go see. I don't know.
Did you hear from Ali?
No, I gotta. He wants to go see a movie about this Nintendo cartoon character that always destroys.
The
Wrecker.
Yeah, something Wrecker. That is a 2-part name. Johnny Wrecker or something like that.
Yeah. He's like, I want to see it. I'm like, all right.
I actually want to see that too.
The reviews I saw said that it was kind of very kind of cute. I never played the game, so I don't have
I never heard of it before the movie. I never seen it.
But apparently it has all the characters from like Street Fighter, like Mario, Conga.
Speaking of Mario, okay, we just came off of the Halloween day or whatever. I'm driving down 95.
Okay.
There's this Jeep, big Jeep, 4-door, new Jeep, orange. I look into the window while I'm driving. Okay, so I'm just look over. Why is Mario driving the Jeep? No bull. The hat, suspenders, everything, and he's just
mustache?
The mustache. Mario was driving the Jeep. Okay, he did. He looked at me. And then he just kept going like it was normal. I was just like, this is awesome. I was trying so hard to get a picture. Dude, I was like, I gotta get a picture. I couldn't get a clear picture of him.
I tried to sneak a photo of this kid that was sitting in the car next to me that looked like Justin Bieber.
Well, it might have been a girl.
No, it was, yeah,
but see the thing when I saw this guy, I didn't think that it was. I was like, I forgot that it was October 31st. So I was just starting to figure out. I put it on Facebook. I'm like, I just passed Mario on the highway. Like, I've seen it all.
I saw that post.
Yeah, I saw that. I was trying to figure out, like, why is this, is he like going to a birthday party or what? That's like, it's Halloween, that's why. That's pretty
cool. The second largest holiday where Americans spend money on after Christmas is Halloween.
That's terrible. And it's a pagan holiday. What's wrong with y'all people? I hope I don't offend anybody. Too bad. Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead is the Mexican holiday.
Oh. Ain't that the same? Oh, yeah. I remember studying that in school.
Dios de Muertes.
I won't say that too. No.
Yeah. He's not Mexican.
Well, he has some Spanish.
Oh, my God.
Okay, now he's from Guatemala, right?
Yes. Guatemala is a different country than Mexico, all right? You're totally American.
I know, right? I'm just being real black right now. It's all Latin, Latin American.
Yeah, just like Africa. It's just Africa.
Yeah,
right?
it's Africa.
It's just Africa, man.
It's Africa.
It's just non-white. That's what we need to know. It's just.
So like Saudi is technically part of Africa.
It was like 50,000 years ago.
That's the thing. But if you look at it on the map, it's still physically part of Africa.
It's not.
It is.
It's separated by the Red Sea.
So that the Red Sea cuts all the way through it.
No, the Red Sea stops at the southern part of Jordan, I believe.
Because I was looking at a map and I was like, why is Saudi not part of Africa?
It's not because there's if you go up to Saudi, then you go over to Syria, then you go Jordan, and then Palestine and Israel, and then the Sinai Peninsula and the Suez Canal cuts through that. So technically, you can consider that to be like that. It's kind of like It's kind of like Europe and Russia. How Russia's considered to be in Europe, but it's like no, listen, you're in Asia.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I'm saying it's Asia.
I'm trying to move over that way. You're in Asia. You know, it's like no one wants to be Asian. Russia wants to move over to Europe. Turkey wants to be Europe.
I think Asia's kind of cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what it is. So, all right, we're gonna wrap up.
Yeah. Oh, you know, I got some Zamzam water too, man.
I did.
Yeah. She didn't get. Somebody took her gallon, but she was able.
Zamzam water comes out of the ground, and it's basically.
You know,
it's Gatorade. It has electrolytes.
Dude, but it is the smooth. Cause I remember having Zamzam. You
gotta drink it cold, man. Oh
yeah. But it's. I mean, I remember the like it doesn't really have a taste. It has a taste, but it's not really like a taste. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because especially, you know, like if you got city water, like even like going out to Carolina, where you get well water, it's totally different. You know what I'm saying? Like Fiji is actually pretty good. Fiji is pretty clear. But Zamzam water is like it goes down so smooth. Yeah, it's scary. You know what I'm saying? Because when my mom gave me a bottle, she was, I was like, oh yeah, Zamzam water. I'm like, I know it's great. Let me retest this. Maybe they still not. Maybe they, it's not really bottled the same or something like that. I was like, yeah, this is still Zamzam. It's still Zamzam water. You know it.
It has electrolyte. Oh my god, when you drink it and it's just like ice cold. It comes out of the ground, ice cold. It's just. Amazing. All right, send us your checks.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, I got you. Okay. What map was I looking at?
Obviously not the right one.
Not the right one.
You weren't looking at the map. That's what the problem is.
It was one of Romney's maps. It's a ramen. All right, so yeah, send us some checks. Okay, remember that I'm gonna put the link up. tinyurl.com/ourvoicenow. Okay, that's the link directly to our PayPal. If you can give $5, $2, $10, 150,000, we would appreciate it. We're trying to grow, man. We need to get equipment. We got one little camera and a tacky, tripod. We want to up the stakes. We want to up the ante, and really make this
because as you can tell, an hour show is not.
An hour isn't gonna cut it, and an hour on AM radio is good.
That's
it's nice.
The introduction.
It's the introduction, man. We got to get out of the baby steps and really hit this hard. I'm trying to quit my job and do this full time. I've been not seriously, man. Like I'm gonna build a studio. Cause honestly, with my wife's yoga studio, for how much that we pay a month, if it wasn't a yoga studio, I could still sustain that as a recording studio or a AV studio. You know what I'm saying? So depending on if my wife keeps doing the yoga thing, I don't know. But it's something that I can still do, and if we have some support, it would be easy to do. But then we can get high-speed internet. We can have the channels that are running 24/7, audio that's available. Talk to some, little Asian guys, get them to build us an app. I mean, we can really do a lot of things without a whole expense, a large amount of money, but we need somebody, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if we could pull in even $500-600 a month, outside of the show cost,
that would go a long way.
We could do a lot. We could do a lot. So, hey, Our Voice Now, tinyurl.com/ourvoicenow. If you're on YouTube, well, of course, you're already here. Yeah, CommunityRadioShow.com. Eventually, that website will be rehashed out. Yeah, Facebook. Just hit us on Facebook. That's it. Facebook. Tweet us. ComRadio 990. And that's it.